It's just nice to see. It's nice to see everyone relaxed in that way. It's a shame that it is short-lived, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing little Chandler Riggs trying what I'm sure was just grape juice. No, Chandler was drunk. He was a drunk in this
Mm.
episode. He's an 8-year-old alcoholic. No, it was a really cute little bit. And I liked the hangovers the next day as well. Wee
Mm.
Glenn not able to hold his liquor. T-Dog mastering the hangover with some powdered eggs. He's the kind of guy I'd want around while I was
I didn't know there
struggling.
were powdered eggs. What the heck is that?
Much what it sounds like dried egg that you can cook
Okay.
up into scrambled eggs. Pretty grim. It's kind of British wartime food.
It was sweet of T-Dog to make breakfast for everyone, though.
It was indeed, and get some painkillers. I've just noticed though in my notes I've written when I was going to ask you how accurate this was because I know you used to work for Apple that Jenner is a bit like Steve Jobs when he's presenting TS19 and his suicide plans. There's something of the Jobsian sort of imagine, if you will, your whole life, the synapses, what makes you you. Um, yeah, so sorry, I'm going all over the place tonight. I think it's been a long week. I did laugh when they were having dinner and Laurie says when Carl is in Italy or France one day. And I'm like, well, Daryl's gonna go to France, so
Guess
he'll
who
be
it's
able
gonna
to
be? You'll
take these
never guess.
tips with him. And the iconic response to everyone, everything's fucked and we're all gonna die. Daryl saying, I'm gonna go get shit-faced drunk again. It's kind of my attitude to things a lot of the time. It's
Oh
definitely
yeah.
my attitude in the pandemic for sure.
Hmm.
And of course, Rick or Shane, I think, clocks that Jenner is not engaging with the group. He's kind of checked out and brings him in for that buzzkill moment
Yeah.
of talking about how everything is kind of fucked and people have been opting out.
I was sort of wondering why isn't he enjoying the party with everyone else? Is it just because he's just uncomfortable with having these strangers here? But then you find out it's like, oh, he knows that they're all going to be dead in 24 hours.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm actually planning a mass murder of all of
Yeah.
you. So excuse me if I don't enjoy the Merlot. Like, okay, like,
You can have as much as you want, though.
yeah, have as much as you want. Like, I mean, it's not going anywhere. You can't take it with you. Um, yeah, that I like the dinner scene a lot.
Yeah. I thought it was funny, and well, Daryl says to Glenn, "Keep drinking, little man. I want to see how red your face can get." Which
Yeah,
again, throwing a little racial stereotype with his bonding, you
a
know.
little bit, a little bit.
But
Like, yeah,
I
yeah,
thought it
yeah,
was super cute, and it shows that he's being really buddy buddy with Glenn now. Um,
yeah.
but I just thought I'd mention this. I don't know how many people know this, but he's talking about this alcohol flush reaction that's sometimes called the Asian flush, which is a condition where a person develops flushes or blotches on the face, neck, shoulders, and in some cases the entire body after drinking alcohol. It's a result of an accumulation of acetaldehyde and a metabolic byproduct of the catabolic metabolism of alcohol, and is caused by an aldehyde dehydrogenase deficiency or something.
That was like Jenner was here speaking to me, the way
Right,
that
just
was
like
delivered. I was
so
like
smooth.
seamless, seamless.
And that's the edited version you guys heard.
Yeah.
It's frequent in East Asians, with approximately 30 to 50% of Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans having it. My wife Jenny has it. She's Taiwanese. So if she even has a little, her face just turns red. But I didn't know this, but doing research in it today, I found out it can be as serious. I mean, on a smaller scale, it can be accompanied by nausea, headaches, and a fast heart rate. But even with just moderate regular drinking, there's a highly increased risk of cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, and esophageal cancer. So I'm going to talk to my
Yeah.
wife about that because I didn't even know that.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
That's an intervention for you tonight to be like,
I mean, she
so I
doesn't
did some
drink a
research.
whole lot, but
I was
occasionally
gonna say, I don't think I've ever seen Jenny drink much, but
she's into edibles.
yeah, different, I guess.
And then just a little bit more on like the niceness of this place, the showers. I mean, it
Oh,
makes me think when I used to go to Burning Man for a week, that first hot shower coming home is so just
oh
ecstatic.
yeah. I did laugh though because Rick technically had one like 2, 3 days ago, and everyone else is
I
like, "Oh my
know,
god, we haven't had
that's
one in 2 months."
right.
I'm like, Rick did
But
wash
now
two
he's got
days
a
ago.
woman in there, so it's nice.
Yeah, now it's like it's a sexy shower rather than
Yeah.
Morgan.
That's right.
Like, different
It's different.
vibes.
It's a different vibe. Um, Carol, they're all thinking, and probably we were too. I don't remember now, but when we were watching this the first time, we might have been thinking, oh, maybe this can be a place where they can hole up for a while. And Carol thinks they might be there for years because when Lori finds her in the rec room, she says, "Any good books?" And Carol goes, "Enough to keep us busy for years."
Yeah,
And
they really think they've come home.
Rick saying to Lori, "We don't have to be afraid anymore. We're safe here," makes it sound like he's planning to be there for a while too.
Yeah.
Um,
As far as he's
yeah.
concerned, he's found the solution to everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
never true. Yeah.
hmm
Okay. Do you have any more?
Rick and Jenner's scene. Rick revealing that he's been keeping it in, that he's been really scared. He doesn't know which way is up. He doesn't believe that people are going to live. He's worried about survival. And then Jenner fucking throws him under the bus in front of all his people, which isn't a very good move. Where he's like, "You think everyone's going to die, don't you, Rick?" And it's like, oh, that's really a horrible thing to do.
That's true.
Because it kind of shatters the group faith in him
It's
shortly.
messed up.
And I,
Yeah.
I think this is the start of that pressure on Rick really starting to weigh on him,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing him express that to Jenner is quite powerful. And I wonder if that's one of the reasons why Jenner does open the door, is because he remembers that conversation
Mm.
that they've had the night before.
It's interesting you're bringing that up because I just, over the years with The Walking Dead, I remember the theme that I thought that I got the most tired of. It was interesting at first, but they just kept repeating it and repeating it was, can you come back from the dark things that you've done? Right. That kind of a thing. And I realized with Rick, we haven't even really started down that path yet, you know, at the end of season 1. We're not even there yet. Probably in season 2, we're going to get more of that. But anyway,
No,
yeah,
I
maybe
think
this is like the germ of the seed of it, maybe.
we need to have like a Rick-ometer of like, where is he on his moral journey? At the moment, I think he's kind of in the middle.
Mm.
Um, then Andrew Lincoln plays drunk really well. Some actors don't play drunk convincingly. I think Andrew Lincoln does a really good job of playing that. Um,
I didn't think he did that good, honestly.
no, don't like
No.
it. I liked it. I
Yeah.
liked it when he stumbled
Mm.
over. Did you think it was goofy?
Oh, that was good when he stumbled over. Yeah. But that, I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know, the
like,
way he was acting is weird, but oh well, it's all right.
he should, maybe they were all really drunk.
Maybe.
Um, Rick overpowers Shane also when they're fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Shane kind of starts raging. And honestly, this pissed me off. I like that Rick won. It pissed me off though because Shane's like, "I'm going to blow your head off," and that this guy has literally just told you that he intends to kill himself in the next 30 minutes. Why would you threaten him to blow his head
Yeah.
off? Change anything about
And
this situation
if
at
there's
all?
any way of getting out of this, he might be a factor in it.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, that's right. Shoot the guy who can open the door. So Rick overpowers him, knocks him on the head. You start to get the sense that they're quite evenly matched if it isn't the case that Rick is sometimes better at overpowering Shane. So yeah, the stuff with Rick in this episode was really about him scrabbling, about him finding a solution but feeling the weight of this decision and needing it to go well. And that scene with
Mm-hmm.
Jenner, I think Rick's interactions with Jenner in this episode are really formative for him going forward because he finds out what we later realize is that everyone is infected. He looks to Jenner for solutions and help, but is massively let down by that. And then at the last minute is given this kind of stay of execution and let out again. It's powerful stuff. I
Yeah, you're
think.
right. Like
And
I mean, Shane had a good point. Like, I know we're having a party here, but Rick, you brought us here. We had an argument over where to go. We ended up coming here. You thought this would be the answer to all our problems, and there's just one guy here.
yeah.
Turned out to be a suicide enabler. So,
And
uh,
apparently not a very good scientist. Also, he's like, my wife was the good scientist. I like
yeah,
made the coffees. He didn't make the
right.
coffees, but
And I
like
just like knocked
I,
over the last
I
sample
just
and got her all
knocked over
burned up last week.
in my minion suit playing with the microscope. I fucking burnt the lab down. Who knew? So yeah, Jenner not necessarily the best scientist in the
Yeah.
world.
But Rick, yeah, like it's on his shoulders more and more now, and you can
Mhm.
see that it's weighing on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did that to himself. I mean, he's the one always wanting to be the authority. He's the one wearing the police uniform. He's the one insisting on his decisions, making the decisions and getting everyone into it. And now he's feeling the weight of that. But he did put himself in that position. And of everyone there, I think he probably is the best one to be doing it, right? I don't know. Who else would do it? I don't know.
T-Dog. I don't know. Maybe
Jackie
T-Dog.
probably should have been the leader. She
Jackie.
probably would have
Yeah,
been the
Jackie
best.
was in city planning. She probably saw some dirty stuff in some of
Yeah,
those like
seriously.
meetings she was in. So yeah. So
Anyway,
that's that me.
okay. Let's do what we learned about the Zeds.
I
So
was really hoping you would do this. I like had a whole thing written down. I was like, nah, Jason will cover this. I was like, it's fine.
I think it's I think a lot of the point of this episode was let's get them some knowledge, and they're near the CDC, so it kind of makes sense that they would find the person, or at least the American, who knows the most about the zombie apocalypse. So we have our characters right with this guy who knows so much. And he shows this visualization of TS-19, his wife. That designation TS, by the way, comes back in World Beyond when we see them experimenting on zombies, and they're like TS 4.0.3A or whatever.
Test subject.
Yeah. He described how the brain works, the normal human brain, and I liked it. He said, somewhere in all that organic wiring, all those ripples of light is you, the thing that makes you unique and human. Those are synapses, electric impulses in the brain that carry all the messages. They determine everything a person says, does, or thinks from the moment of birth to the moment of death. I think that's a poetic way of talking about neurons in the brain that communicate with other neurons, which are cells, through electrical impulses. They cause the release of neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that act as messengers. So, I think that's what he's talking about. You could say it's accurate. If somebody's a scientist or has any more knowledge of that and doesn't agree with me, let me know. But then, we find out the test subject was bitten and infected and volunteered to have them record the process, which is pretty thrilling. So we can see what happens in the brain during death. It's morbid, but fascinating. And he said the adrenal glands hemorrhage, the brain goes into shutdown, then the major organs, then death. He said it's like meningitis, by the way, which is basically a viral or bacterial infection in the brain. And adrenal glands are glands that produce hormones, like pituitary, I think. Jenner says resurrection times vary wildly. We had reports of it happening in as little as 3 minutes. The longest we heard was 8 hours. And I think that was great to set up options for storytelling later. It always takes as long as is best for the drama, is what I say.
Yeah.
So later we see when Beta kills some residents at Alexandria and sits there meditating, that they come back in a few minutes, I think.
That's Beta's magic.
It was so good. And then Carl, of course, lasted 3 months and had a great summer.
2 seasons. It's good summer.
No. He got bitten in the daytime with Sadiq, and then I think it was that night that he got the fever. So
He got the
so.
fever. I don't think he died for like another day or two, though.
Are you sure? Really? I don't know.
I think so, because you see this whole
only over
montage
the
of
course
him
of a
like
day.
having.
Yeah.
Well, no, because he had to get them all out into the tunnels, and that happens over more than one day. So I think he had at
we
least
should
24
go back
hours.
and look, but I read he spends the day helping Sadiq, creating memories with Judith and writing the notes, and then succumbed to the fever that night. But I could be wrong. Yeah, we should.
It depends when they go to the tunnels.
Either way, sometimes it takes longer, sometimes shorter. And then the infection restarts the brain stem, gets them up and moving. Most of the brain is dead. He says the frontal lobe of the neocortex doesn't come back, and they're just a shell driven by mindless instinct. So I wanted to know if that meant there were no traces of memory or humanity left. And ChatGPT, that sometimes makes stuff up, but said,
Mhm.
if Jenner's statement is true, then it would imply that the walkers have no consciousness or memory of their former lives, as these functions depend on the neocortex. However, this may not be the case, as some studies have suggested that the neocortex is not the only brain region that contributes to consciousness and memory. For example, the limbic system, which includes the amygdala, hippocampus, and other structures, is also involved in emotional processing, learning, and memory. The limbic system is connected to the neocortex, but it's not clear if it can function independently of it. Therefore, it's possible that the walkers have some residual or rudimentary form of consciousness or memory, even if their neocortex is damaged or destroyed. This may explain why some walkers show signs of recognition, attachment, or emotion towards certain people or objects, such as Michonne's pets, Morgan's wife, or the governor's daughter. However, this is not to restore their humanity, as they are still driven by their primal instincts to feed on the living. Thank you, Vi, for that answer.
Thank you, Vi.
So, Jenner doesn't know if it's microbial, viral, parasitic, fungal, or the wrath of God. And I thought, oh, it could be fungal. Like it might have more in common with The Last of Us than we realized. I hadn't remembered them talking about that.
I feel like you learn a lot, but also not like, where does it take us? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you learn stuff, but also like the most important bit of information he whispers to Rick, and then we don't find out till the end of season 2.
Yeah, and so I got that here. He whispers, and then they're all out on the road in season 2 in the aftermath of the zombie attack on Herschel's farm, and it's sort of after all this chaos, Shane is gone. I think they had seen zombie Randall, but they knew Randall hadn't been bitten or something. And so here's a clip from that moment when Rick reveals what Jenner had said. This is like the season 2 finale.
You know, I found Randall, right? He turned. He wasn't bit.
How's that possible?
Rick, what the hell happened?
Shane killed Randall. Just like he always wanted to.
And then the herd got him?
We're all infected.
What?
But the CDC, Jenner told me. Whatever it is, we all carry it.
And you never said anything?
What, it made a difference? You knew this whole time. How could I have known for sure? You saw how crazy that
That is not your call. Okay, when I found out about the walkers in the barn, I told for the good of everyone.
Well, I thought it best if people didn't know.
Looking back on that, what I think is funny is they're like, so what happened to Shane? And he's all, we're all infected. Because he doesn't want to say what happened to Shane.
Where's Shane? You're all infected. You've all got a disease. No, but where's Shane? You're all infected. Jenner told me.
Because then he pulls Lori aside and tells her that he killed Shane. But I think he was trying to distract them. I mean, I think the fact that they're all infected, it's a big deal, but it's just kind of the real big deal is that zombies killed everyone, you know, and now there's no society left. And I mean, to me, unless I'm missing something, knowing that we're all infected just means that you just have to be careful when someone dies.
Yeah.
You know?
And they would have come to that conclusion sooner or later. I think.
Yeah.
Also, though, Jenner took all their blood, so maybe he just means all of you in your group are infected. I don't know everyone else, but no, it's clear that he means everyone. Is infected.
Yeah, and when he was, so when this happened, he whispered something into Rick's ear. I think we had speculated he told Rick Lori was pregnant because we knew they took their blood. And I wasn't sure if the writers knew ahead of time what he actually said. But when he's giving Andrea the blood test and she says, what's the point? If we were infected, we'd all be running a fever. That line makes me think they had this in mind the whole time, because the point is that he's just studying them and probably checking to see if his hypothesis is true that everyone is already infected. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I have one more point. Should I do that before we go to notes?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. It's the French. So
wait.
And Jenner, I'm going to say this all in French. Blah, blah, blah. No, just kidding. Jenner says the French were the last ones to hold out, as far as I know. While our people were bolting out of the doors and committing suicide in the hallways, they stayed in the labs till the end, which makes them sound more noble, the French scientists, but as we learn in World Beyond, maybe it was because they were doing it out of guilt for starting the whole thing. Jenner says they thought they were close to a solution, and someone said, "What happened?" And he goes, "The same thing that's happening here. No power grid, ran out of juice." But apparently they didn't have a self-destruct mechanism because we see the lab later. So they weren't dumb enough to rig the lab to blow up if the power went out. No
minions in France.
So the world, what I'm talking about, I don't know if I've talked about this too much, but I feel like this is a good time just because it's the Jenner episode. So the post-credit scene in World Beyond was great. It actually had nothing to do with the rest of the series.
No.
But it was more just Gimple's idea of what's going on in the larger Walking Dead world, which then ended up connected to the Daryl show. So it was a lab in France, and there's a graffiti saying "Les morts sont nés ici" on the wall, which means the dead were born here, which suggests that the ZA started in this lab. We don't know for sure still, I would say, but that's what it suggests. And there's a scientist woman in there, and she, it's abandoned. It's an abandoned lab, and she's copying files from a hard drive onto her computer, and she's watching a video of Dr. Jenner, and he references his wife, and clearly she's still alive. So the video was recorded before what we're seeing in this Walking Dead season 1 finale episode. You can clearly hear the beginning of what Jenner says and the end, but there's action happening in the middle. So people are talking over it. And so I'm just going to read that part. But here's the first part of what Jenner says.
The problem, as I see it, is that the samples we have simply aren't fresh. There's just too many variables involved in how the clock affects them. And even after a few minutes, we can't get an accurate picture of the biology involved. At least from the start. We obviously have seen the end. Again and again. Still, we will have fresh samples soon. That's a certainty. Well, in brighter news, I've reviewed the latest data on your side. And the use of cardiac plaques as a host medium for steroidal therapies to jumpstart the circulatory system in the hopes of short-circuiting the brain or perhaps regaining function to cause nerve confusion is a fascinating approach, and we are all anxiously awaiting anything that comes back from your first trial.
So it sounds like he's trying to figure out a way to bring them back after they've turned, jumpstart.
And the thing about fresh samples is interesting. I don't know that the samples they're shipping over from France are fresh, but they're different at least, I guess.
Yeah, when Eric Kane started bringing up all that stuff, I was like, should I get into my whole argument about why I think the Daryl show is good? And I'm like, nah, we're talking about fear. I'll just let all that go. But so then you heard a click here. It's this man who came in and held the scientist at gunpoint, and he asked in French where the Primrose team is. And she says the team went to a conference in Ohio and was not in the lab when it happened.
No, they say Toledo, because I was like, is it Toledo, Spain,
Ohio.
Or Toledo, Ohio? But we think it's Ohio.
Oh, they just said Toledo. I think
it's Ohio, though.
I think so, yeah.
Because we find that out elsewhere in World Beyond, I think.
Okay. So the man accuses her lab of starting the virus and vows to kill the doctors if they return, and then he shoots her dead and leaves. And then during all this, the tape is still running in the background, and Jenner saying, we all have to work together here. Solidarity, right? Fact of the matter is we only have so many supplies left. We're not getting any more. So everything counts that much more. Every collection, every test. I almost broke a petri. This is all sort of little minutiae, but I broke a petri dish yesterday and almost put my fist through the wall. He broke a petri dish. I think that's funny they put that in there. He's a klutz.
He is no good scientist, man.
Glad the other Dr. Jenner stopped me from putting his fist through a wall. The infirmary is closed.
That's his wife.
Yeah, sealed actually. We've been venturing out for the basics. The other Dr. Jenner has gotten pretty damn good at it. So she's better at zombie killing too, apparently.
Yeah.
He goes, but getting back to the data, the idea of activating systems to work against reanimation is a promising idea. But so maybe that's after I don't know, preventing someone from reanimating. I don't know. But as we've discussed, the systems themselves have to be studied to see exactly how they're working or not working. For example, can we build up acids in bodies that don't have blood flow? Of course, that gets right back to that idea of jump-starting circulatory systems. We need to do two things simultaneously: observe this and attack this. So then the scientist that got shot and dead reanimates and bolts to the door and pounds against it, denting it
very quickly.
Yeah, so it's like a stronger, faster variant zombie.
First official variant we see. I know we think we see variants in season 1, but yeah, this is the first kind
after
of...
the writers thought of this whole concept of variants and
Yeah.
potentially retcon the season 1, but this was the first intentional one. Yeah. So here's the last part of what Jenner said.
I want to know more about these variant cohorts you referred to in our last communication. We haven't seen anything like that here at all, nothing close. I hope this finds you as well as you can be. I hope you don't lose faith. The day will come when we are going to beat this thing. At least that's what the other Dr. Jenner keeps telling me. Now she knows she's smarter than me.
So he's a lot more optimistic when his wife is still alive.
Interesting use of the day will come.
Yeah.
As a positive thing.
Right. I think they do that on purpose, huh? And that's the thing too, that it has me feel critical of him, because when his wife was alive, he was like, maybe we can. I mean, I guess he also thought she was the only one smart enough left to come up with a cure or whatever. So all hope was lost when she was gone. So that scene connects a few things for me. It has to do, as we just said, with the variants we saw near the end of The Walking Dead, the ones that could climb and grab things and seem smarter. We still don't know how they're created. And then, I think the writers had in mind that the Zeds we're seeing in season 1 were this sort of zombie 2 later on in the series as a retcon. I also think it follows up on Jenner mentioning the lab in France, of course, and in this episode we just covered. And then the Daryl show, I think, is going to connect to all of this, and hopefully it will answer questions I have, like, did the zombie apocalypse actually start from this lab? How did that happen? Why? Was it an accident, or what were the scientists trying to do? Who's this Primrose team, and what are they doing? Why are there variants? Were they intentionally created, or did they just naturally emerge somehow? Is it significance that some of these French scientists were in Ohio, and why are they trying to say they introduced the zombie virus to the US? Did Janae, the villain in Daryl, and her scientists pick up their research? If they're going to follow all this up at this point, I think it would be nice to get some answers to some of that stuff,
I think so. I think the time has come to start pulling it together.
Yeah. So that's all I had, except for some notes. What do you got? Any notes?
Same notes in my bits. Carl says his prayers. Laurie says go to bed and say your prayers. Don't know if that's something, I don't know. Didn't have the Grimes family down as being overtly religious.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting.
I think there's a lot of people in the US who are just, they go to church on Sunday and they say their prayers. I guess that's, but I don't know if they consider themselves super religious. It's just,
like no judgment about it. I just thought it was interesting because it just hadn't really come up before.
I mean, and as far as I know, I don't know this for sure, but from what I get, if you're in like the South, people just say, hey, what church do you go to? Not, do you go to church? Like that.
There you go. Jenner says to his wife that he did the best I could with the time I had when he's dressed up fancy for his end, which is kind of heartbreaking, but I'm not feeling less sympathetic towards him after our discussion today. On that note, Jenner talks about the doors being like smash proof, and Daryl says your head ain't, which I thought was a great Daryl line. my suspension of disbelief about the grenade going off and only one window breaking, no windows come in on any of the vehicles that were parked not that far away. Nobody died, um, who didn't intend to die. There's an amazing shot where Dale's eyebrows come up over the sandbags, which really made me laugh. And the song that they play at the end is Tomorrow is a Long Time by Bob Dylan.
I remember Karen loved that.
But apparently the music playing during the countdown is actually by Peter Gabriel. I was looking this up on TuneFind. Apparently it's one of his instrumental pieces. So
Oh, cool.
That's my cool. Music tidbits. How about your notes?
In the hospital outside Rick's room, it's so interesting because I swear when we first started watching The Walking Dead, I thought, oh, the zombies sound so much more whispery than the zombies I'm used to. But now I think they got more and more raspy and whispery over the years because they just sound moany to me now. They're and I think that was less moany than I was used to at the time. But now in comparison to what we currently have, it's more like the old Romero zombies. And yeah. I do think that ties into over time on The Walking Dead, they wanted to take away some of their human feel.
Mm-hmm.
When our people are first let into the CDC, Jenner's there with his shotgun, keeping his distance. And he goes, anybody infected? And Rick says, one of our group was, he didn't make it. And I'm like, dude, the right answer is just no. No one's infected. Like, let me tell you a story.
One guy. Yeah, so Jim, do you know Jim? Yeah, well, Jim, he's not here, but Jim was infected. I'm like, oh my God, Rick, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Maybe he thought they would think he was more honest if he said
radical
like
honesty
that.
to the
just
detriment.
Nope.
We're fine.
Not at all. Rick said to Jenner, you don't know what it's like out there. You may think you do, but you don't. And I'm like, neither do you, Rick. Not yet. Mm-hmm. You're going to find out.
Daryl talking about the doctor packing heat was quite funny as well. He's like, do doctors usually pack heat? And Jenner's like, I learned. He also has a little joke with Carl where he's like, I'm going to keep my eye on you. And Carl gives this little smile. But I'm like, Carl does go to some dark places.
Right. He needs to keep an eye on him. That's a good point. On the way out of the CDC, I remember thinking, man, that was so badass when they were shooting the zombies in the head and Daryl decapitated one. And now that we've seen that stuff like that a million times, it's so much less for me. I mean, I still remember appreciating it, so I can appreciate that, but it's just less impactful.
Yeah.
This was the first time we really, I think, had a scene like that in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I have a quote from Kirkman about this episode, but do you have something about that in your trivia?
I don't actually.
Okay,
no.
Then I'll read it. So in 2014, Robert Kirkman told The Hollywood Reporter, quote, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have done the CDC episode. It possibly gave away too much information and was such a big change very early on in the series. I feel like there might have been a better way to wrap up the first season. It ended up being a fun episode. I loved the character of Dr. Jenner and thought Noah did an amazing job. But there were things in that episode that I think seemed very much not of the Walking Dead world. He said, I've been careful in the comic series to not say what's happening in other parts of the world. It's something that's going to be fun to explore in the spin-off series, by which I'm pretty sure he means Fear, because it was back in 2014. So he thought there would be possibilities for that. He goes, but the fact that France is mentioned in that episode and other things like that, I probably would have steered away from that stuff if I had to do it all over again. So I guess he was open to exploring other parts of the world and spin-offs, but he wanted The Walking Dead proper to feel, just of its area. People not to know what was happening.
Yeah. So IMDb for this episode, not the most interesting. It talks about Darabont firing most of the writers before season 2. I don't know how true that is. I need to go back and actually look because I know Glenn Mazzara was a writer, so I don't think he got fired. Or maybe he got fired and brought back. I need to double check that.
Yeah, because I think nobody else came back though. I could be wrong about that. Yeah. So what did it say?
Pardon?
It just said he fired him. Didn't say why or anything. Okay.
Yeah. Edwin Jenner is probably a reference to Edward Jenner, who was the inventor of the smallpox vaccination. Mm-hmm. King County is made up. There is no King County, Georgia. It was probably an homage to Stephen King, who's good friends with Frank Darabont.
Nice.
It is the only IMDb season of The Walking Dead on IMDb which has no episodes under 8.0 out of 10. So it's the highest rated on IMDb.
Oh, wow.
And it is interesting, notes IMDb, that no windows are affected by the explosion in the RV. The grenade goes off and all the windows remain intact. And in terms of our apocalypse timeline, this is day 64. So Rick's been away for 5 days.
Yeah, Darabont has done several Stephen King adaptations, The Mist, Green Mile, and of course Shawshank Redemption, maybe more, I don't know.
Oh, that makes sense. So they've worked quite closely together.
Yeah, so King County. All right, I couldn't think of a good Only on the Walking Dead. I said, Only on the Walking Dead, would you see a medical scan of a bullet going through her brain? And Melissa Silvestri, because I asked in the chat, said, only in The Walking Dead do you feed your guests a great meal and try to blow them up the next day.
Yeah, I think so. Only in The Walking Dead would you bother giving someone a painkiller for their hangover when you're blowing them up in less than 2 hours later. So, yeah,
like
yeah.
Obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens.
The people it kills get up and kill.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
This is a Walking Deadcast news update.
So during an interview with comic book artist David Finch, Robert Kirkman kind of let it slip that Steven Yeun's going to be playing this character called the Sentry in the upcoming Marvel movie Thunderbolts. Did you hear that too?
I read about it. I don't know anything about who this character is or what, so I'm excited to hear more.
It's really fascinating, and I actually don't know how much of the story I should tell because it might be spoilery. So, but I read the early Sentry comics and I loved it, and the Thunderbolts was crazy too. The Thunderbolts basically is a bunch of anti-heroes that team up, and the Sentry is like Marvel's Superman. He's super duper powerful, but also can be very unstable. There's some real twists to his story that if they do in the movies will be really cool. And I don't want to reveal just in case. I'd love to just talk all about it. But anyway, if it's true, it's very exciting.
We'll have to cover it.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
As and when. I mean, it'll probably be like a million years, but yes, no, that's really cool. I'm pleased for Stephen.
Yeah, I was going to save this for the end, but since you mentioned covering it, I put up a poll asking listeners if they would rather during season breaks that we take a break and cover a movie or something. And I'd mentioned specifically Return of the Living Dead because I know you hadn't seen it. Or if we should just go straight through like to season 2. And most people said the movie. Maybe because they want that one in particular. Yeah. And then Nathan Eshelman has suggested if we keep doing that, taking breaks and covering something else, that we could either do like a zombie movie or a movie that features an actor who's in the season that we just covered, something like that. So that sounds like could be fun.
I really want to watch at some point for the podcast Blood Quantum, which is the Michael Grey Eyes is in it, who played Kulataka in Fear the Walking Dead when it was still good. And it's about indigeneity and a zombie apocalypse. And I think that would be really interesting to look at. I didn't know it existed.
That'll be perfect when we do our Fear the Walking Dead rewatch. We can
Jason. I needed that. Thanks. That was funny. Yeah.
No, that sounds great. Yeah. If it's good. I don't if it's not.
Yeah,
good.
I need to actually watch and see if it's decent or not. But yeah, I thought that might be cool.
Cool. All right, let's move on to listener moans, groans, and grunts.
All right. Jennifer McGinley, hi Jennifer, says Daryl in a high-pitched voice. Your head ain't funnier every time you watch. I agree.
Yeah, I'm glad you're watching this along with us. All of you guys. Kirsty Keene says, a good finale. Lots of things laid in for the future. The Andrea Dale conflict, Shane's turn for the worst, even hints Carol is not as mild as she seems to be. Well, that is a very good point, Kirsty. All that stuff is going to play out, and you just made me like it a little bit more by mentioning that.
Agree. Okay, Melissa Silvestri says, the first of many, many times Carol saves the day. Seeing her hand tremble as she held out the grenade made me smile. She has an epic character arc in the show. I thought it interesting that we don't see Daryl in the showers. Yes. I wonder if the writers already knew about Daryl's scars and therefore made the choice not to show some hot Daryl skin here to keep it a surprise. Personally, I think it would have been intriguing and perhaps added a layer of compassion to Daryl, or at least hinted there are reasons behind the way he is. Melissa, I love that. I'm going to say, though, I feel like Daryl might just not have showered because he doesn't in Alexandria either. So yeah. I don't know.
Daryl doesn't take showers. Everyone knows that.
Daryl seems to not enjoy a nice hot shower, but you know,
who knows?
He has a bath when in France.
I would guess they didn't know about the scars yet, and in which case it's probably a good thing you didn't take a shower, because then they wouldn't have been able to add that in later, you know? Because
we also don't see Carol or Jackie in the showers, so that's interesting. Maybe it was just only certain people.
Maybe Carol, Jackie, and Daryl all took a shower together, and they just didn't want to show that.
Exactly, it just wasn't relevant to the main plot.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think they all took showers, honestly, but
yeah, you would be manky.
Chandra Wright answers Melissa saying, I thought it was interesting that timid Carol stashed a grenade in her handbag. I wonder why she kept it, why she didn't give it back to Rick earlier. Was it just so she could save the day later? That's a good question.
Carol's tricksy. You never know. Becky Fenner Anderson says, Drunk Glenn was adorable. Loved seeing them get at least a brief time to relax and let their guard down. The scene with Shane and Laurie was tough to watch. I assume it was to show Shane's spiral to the dark side and was well acted by both actors. I was fascinated by the video of the test subject's progression into a zombie. Jenner's calmness as he saw his end approaching was eerie. I wish we could have seen some flashbacks to the progression of how he ended up the last one left. Andrea once again annoyed me. Great actor, I just cannot get behind the character. I was a nervous wreck watching the crew rush to escape. Fair points all, Becky.
I bet you that scene was very disturbing to a lot of women in particular. Unfortunately. All right, so let's play our one call from Gloria.
Hi, Lucy and Jason. It's Gloria from Salem, Mass. This is for the finale of Season 1 of The Walking Dead. Wow, what a way to end a season. That explosion was catastrophic. And the Bob Dylan song was perfect. Perfect song to ride them out. Tomorrow is a long time, and Just Like a Woman are two of my favorite of Dylan's. What are yours? Did you like them at all? Okay. I have to tell you.
I don't really know Dylan's music that well, honestly. I should get into it more.
I know a lot of Dylan. Gloria, for me, it's Don't Think Twice, It's All Right.
That's great. I'm glad you had an answer to that. It's all about the lyrics with him, right? The poetry of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
He goes on.
You guys, something. That shot of Daryl in between Shane and Rick, I think it was them. I may be wrong. Let me know. Reminded me of Bella Swan after she turns into a vampire. I don't know if you guys saw Twilight, but it was the last movie of the series when she was first hunting. I don't know if she was sneaking up on the deer or the mountain lion, but all of a sudden we see her in between two trees, and it looks like a scene out of a horror movie. It was so funny. I mean, that was just hilarious to me. Not the situation at the CDC, but the look on Daryl's face compared to On the Hunt Bella. Yes, I'm a dork. C'est la vie. It was really nice to see them all eating and drinking and laughing and just having a good time. And totally getting a good night's sleep before all hell broke loose. Shane seriously pissed me off. Granted, he was drunk, but that's no excuse. He was forcing himself on Laurie. Love the actor. I hate the character. One last thing. You guys had said you expected to hear all of us sing. Well, that's perfectly fine with me. I am a singer. Always have been. Not in a band, but back in the 80s, I made a demo tape, totally dating myself, and I was prepared to move to LA to find my fortune. Had my plane ticket and a place to stay and everything. However, the universe wasn't with me, and a week before I was supposed to leave, I was in a head-on collision with a drunk driver that changed my life forever. That was the short version. So now I just go to karaoke bars and sing whenever I can. That's it from me. See you in season 2. Bye.
I'm really sorry to hear about that the accident. And also, where's the song? Like, I thought you were about to sing, and then we didn't get to
you really
hear it.
built us up there,
Yeah.
Gloria. More.
We'd love to hear it. She made me think, when talking about Daryl, the look on Daryl's face, the look on Dale's face, because he had that same look that he gave Shane last week when I forget when it was exactly, when he was figuring out that the place was going to explode. He's just got the big buggy eyes.
The eyebrows. I love them.
All right, that is our show, episode 554. Thanks for listening, everyone. We did it. We did our marathon.
We did it. We did our
coverage.
marathon week.
Pretty great. As I said, it looks like next episode will most likely be Return of the Living Dead, and then we'll move on to Walking Dead Season 2.
If you want to write in or leave us a voice message about it, you can find all our contact information at podcastica.com.
And while you're there, please check out our other podcasts. I saw someone recently had posted, you should do a Ted Lasso podcast. And I'm like, we do. It's
excellent.
The Revisited podcast with Kristen and Ben. They're excellent podcasters, and they have great chemistry together. And if you like Ted Lasso, I would highly recommend checking that out.
Excellent.
This episode made possible by Patreon supporters like Mandy Binder, who pledged their support at patreon.com/Jason Kabassi. So thank you so much to Mandy and everybody.